Hey, it's Wagner here, and we are doing our second recording for the packet that is 427 to 511, which is actually week 4. So let's just take a look. So we're going to go over week 2 for measures of dispersion. We're going to look at box and whisker plots today. So I'm going to go down to page 7. You can see page 7 kind of gets you a little bit into where they actually use box and whisker plots, and they do use them when they're talking about the Great Barrier Reef, and they're talking about the world's coral reef system. Coral reefs actually help break down some pollution, so the fact that they're depleting is concerning, and they use this data to, scientists use this data to kind of show us how we need to protect our oceans. So go ahead and watch that a little bit. If you want to talk about how you can use a box and whisker in that way, I would like you to do that. So now we get through to the next page, which is the actual box and whiskers. So when you have a box and whisker, you have a box in the middle like this, and then you have 2 line segments going out, which are the whiskers. A box and whisker plot is a way to show the median, the quartiles, and the highest value and the lowest value. So let's look at an example. So if we had this amount right here, if you take a look at it, it already looks like it's in order for you. So the 5-number summary would be the smallest number, which is 16, which is our minimum. You see the middle, which is 22. Notice how you can see 22 right here as well. You see the number 22, and you can see that the 22 is the median. Notice that the 16 is the first little whisker that's out there. Just make sure I fix that. Notice that 28 here. Okay, it's going to take a minute, but notice that 28 is the maximum, right? And that's the highest value. And then you will see the middle of the first half, which is 18, which is right here. And then you see the middle of the second half, which is 26. So that gives you some information on that. So if we had this guy Carl that works at a computer store, and he has sales that he keeps track of. He has all these sales here. The first thing that we have to do, just like we did before, is put everything in order. And then after we put everything in order, we want to see where the middle is. And it looks like the middle is in between these 2 numbers, 25 and 39. So we divide and we get 32. So 32, what is that called? 32 is called the middle, which is also called our median, right? So we want to write that in there. So when we do that, now we're going to have this barrier right here between the first half of the data and the second half of the data. So we find the middle of the first half of the data, which again, there's no real middle. So we take the 13 and 17 and we get 15. So 15, we know that has a special name, right? That's called the upper quartile. So I'd want to write that in here. It's kind of hard for me to write that in there. So you're going to write, I'm sorry, and I said it wrong. It's the lower quartile. And then we see these 2 numbers in here that there's no true middle for. So I have to take them and divide by 2. And we get 46. So then we put a 46 in here. And that one is called the upper quartile. So then we have our summary. So what is our summary? 6 would go right here because that's the smallest number. We'd have the middle of the first half. This is the first half. The middle of the first half is 15, so 15 would go right here. We have our median, which we had to figure out, and the median was 32, so 32 would go right here. We have the middle of the second half, which we figured out is 46, so 46 would go right in this number right here, or this blank right here, and then the last, which is 62. So that's all stuff we did before, but the next thing that we want to do with these numbers is 6, 15, 32, 46, and 62, is we want to figure out how do we draw a box and whisker based on that. Well, the first thing that you want to do is draw the vertical lines for the lower quartile, which is 15. Right, so 15, we want to draw a line. 32 is the median, so we draw a line there. 46 is my upper quartile. Once I draw those, then I want to connect them into a box like this. So now I have my box. The next thing I need is my whiskers. So I want to figure out what that lowest number is, and that's 6. So I want to put a dot above the 6 and draw a whisker to my box. And then the biggest one was 62, or the maximum was 62. So I draw a little dot for 62 and draw a whisker. So now my box and whisker is done, and that's it. So looking at brand new data here, what's the first thing that I want to do? Well, I want to figure out what the lower quartile is. The lower quartile is right here. So right where 6 is, I want to draw a line. So I'm going to use my drawing tools and see what it gives me here. It's going to let me draw a line. So I'm going to draw a line up from my 6. And I'm going to draw a line where my 12 is. So again, I'm going to draw another line for my 12. So my 12 is right here. I'm going to draw a line there. It isn't perfect. And then I'm going to draw another line for my 16. So I'm going to find out where my 16 is. Again, mine may not be perfect. It's pretty good. For my 16, then I'm going to connect my lines into a box. Looks pretty good. Pretty happy with it. And then I'm going to draw 2 whiskers. So I'm going to figure out where my 3 is. So 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to draw a whisker for that. My dot isn't so good with this tool, but it's doing pretty good. I'm kind of excited about my new little drawing tool here. And that's 21 right there. And I could draw my little dots, but I don't think it's going to let me do that so well. So I'm actually going to come over here. And I got rid of it. Oops, I didn't mean to get rid of that so quickly. But you saw what I did, and I drew my box and whisker. So what if we had this value right here? What's the minimum right there? Well, the minimum looks like it's 10, doesn't it? The maximum would be out here. It looks like 60 to me, so I'd put 60. The median is right here. That looks like that's 35. The upper quartile, that would be this value right here, that's 50, and the lower quartile is 20. Okay, so here's some games that you could practice if you wanted to practice box and whiskers. So diving deeper, we're taking a look at data sets here. So if we're looking at things, remember they're quartiles. So this is 25% of the data is right here, 25% of the data, 25% of the data, and 25% of the data. So they're quartiles because it's like $1. There's 4 quarters that make up the data. So if we have a box and whisker plot that looks like this, even though the sections don't look like they're the same size, and this kind of makes people a little crazy sometimes, it's still, this is 25%, this is 25%, this is 25%, and that's 25%, even though they don't look like they're the same size. So when you think about the statements, you think whether they're true or false. 50% of the students scored above 80. Well, here's 80, and wait a minute, 25 and 25, that's 50, so that must be true. 75% of the students scored above 55. Well, here's 55. Well, no, that's almost like 100%, right? That's like 100% scored more than 55, so that's a false. 25% of the students scored higher than 88. Oh, here's my 88. 88 somewhere right in here, 25. So that's about true. I don't think my lines look exactly right. I think that was supposed to be on the 88, but they didn't turn out to look all that good. So that's actually kind of true as well. So what is an IQR? IQR is definitely something that they ask you a lot, especially on the Keystones and on the SAT. IQR is just taking this number here, which is your upper quartile, and subtracting it. So it would be 16 minus 6, which would just give me 10 for this IQR. For this one, it would just be 46, my upper quartile, minus my 15, 46 minus 15. That would give me 31, I believe. I have the answers. Yep, 31. Okay, so that's it, basically, guys. If I take a look at what's next, I just want you to come up with 7 numbers that are bigger than 50. I want you to write a story about where you think these numbers could come from. We know we looked at ages, we looked at all kinds of different things. So just make up a story. You know, show me some work. So did you put them in order? Are they already in order? And then draw a box and whisker plot for that. So I got there. So you're going to have to put your numbers on there. And give me your 5-number summary. If you want to keep on learning, you can go onto Khan Academy and look at that video, or you can try a game for more practice. That's it, guys. These videos I have to keep short because I only have a limited amount of time. Hope you guys are doing great. And let me know if you need anything, okay?